and welcome. I'm Millicent Walker. Tonight, federal government denies paying €2 million as ransom to terrorist group Boko Haram in exchange for release of 82 Chibok girls 2 weeks ago. Nigerian customs operatives intercept another container load of assorted firearms at the port and cargo terminal of Lagos Tinkan Island port. Senate raises alarm over porous state of Nigeria's cyberspace, alerts security agencies and financial institutions about present threats of cyber attacks. And British authorities named 22-year-old Salman Abedi as suspected bomber in last night's attack at Manchester Arena.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's economic contraction slowed to 0.52% in the first quarter through combined impact from oil and non-oil sectors.
While on sports news, LGA Jafaro Primary School of Kaduna and Burhanuddin Primary School Kwara qualify for the quarterfinals of the Channel's International Kids Cup.
And from Abuja, Nigerian Air Force court-martials an aircraftsman for alleged murder of his girlfriend, aircraftswoman Sholakbe Oladipupo.
We begin tonight with the federal government debunking the claims that €2 million was paid as ransom to the terrorist group Boko Haram in exchange for the release of the 82 Chibok girls 2 weeks ago. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, said this during a press briefing at the presidential villa as part of activities marking President Buhari's second year in office. Also at the briefing was a senior special assistant to the president on media, Mr. Garba Shehu, who said that Nigerians are happy with the present administration, for according to him, President Buhari has paid his dues.
Less than 1 week to the May 29 Democracy Day celebrations, which will mark 2 years of the President Muhammadu Buhari's second year in office, presidential spokesmen boast that there is happiness in the land.
I want us to establish from the beginning.
Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, says one of the president's fulfilled promises is the recent release of 82 Chibok schoolgirls, and contrary to reports, no ransom was paid to the terrorist group.
A newspaper over the weekend carried a fiction that €2 million was paid. It said it was BBC that reported that story. Did you check BBC site that weekend? Did you see that kind of story there? It was not there. And the Minister for Information already responded to that story, that no €2 million was paid anywhere.
At this news conference, the media aides to the president says the confidence Nigerians reposed on the president remains intact, citing the welfare of the Chibok girls.
If you ask them, their preference is they want to continue in Abuja here, and their parents are themselves happy that all of their children are being catered for, they're being kept under a roof, they're being fed, and school possibilities of scholarships, everything. The president has promised this thing. So please, people should not. We know there are people out there who are campaigning. If you release them, what will they do with them? What do they have to offer them?
In a no-holds-barred session, the presidential spokesman sought to clarify some burning issues across the board, including the non-release of the former national security advisor.
It's a common thing with all nations of the world that there are matters of public safety, which are weighed, and the Attorney General, I think, has made this point on the grounds of the State House here, against individual, interests.
So if anybody says APC has failed, just tell them it's too early in the day, because it's a 4-year term, and this is just 2 years.
A book compiling the lofty achievements of the president in his 2 years in office is currently being compiled by the spokesman and would be released in due course. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Nigerian Customs says its operatives have intercepted another container laden with arms at the port and cargo terminal of the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. Customs spokesman at the Tinkan Island Command, Uche Ejisieme, said 440 assorted rifles have been counted of the arms cache said to have been imported from Turkey. He told Channels Television that one suspect has been taken into custody in connection with the seizure, while investigation continues into the matter. The Nigeria Customs Service in January 2017 seized 661 pump-action rifles imported into the country legally from China. The rifles were concealed with steel doors and other merchandise goods in a 40-feet container and were later handed over to the Nigerian military. The Senate has asked the National Security Advisor to alert all security agencies and financial institutions in the country about the current and threatening dimensions of cyber attacks in the country. The Senate made the request after a federal lawmaker, Senator Buhari Abdul Fatai, raised the alarm that Nigeria's cyberspace is porous and that the system lacks a well-structured and effective approach for cybercrime control.
Mr. President, the cyber criminals are now with a new strategy. When they hack into your system, they will not call the particular organization that we are the one, we have done it. If you want your system to reopen, you have to pay so amount. If you are now doubting them, the new system is that they will not give you a referral that you can ask so organization. We've already had a business with them. And when you now pay them the money, Mr. President, they now give you a code to re-enter back your system. The reason for this motion is for her to do what is called, let's be proactive, let's block it. It is said that prevention is better than cure. It's not until when you are hacked and you are being given a code to re-enter your system. Because anybody that gives you a code to re-enter your system can re-enter and re-enter. So it is important we take a decision and prevent this situation in our cyberspace.
Still on cyber attacks, the United States and the United Kingdom have identified cyber and financial crimes as major setbacks to Nigeria's development and security. While the United States ambassador to Nigeria explained the relationship between cybersecurity and national security, the British High Commissioner in Nigeria linked financial and cyber crimes to poverty in Nigeria. The two envoys were speaking at a conference in Abuja on how to tackle cyber and financial crimes in Nigeria.
In 2015, Nigeria signed into law the Cyber Crime Act to address the rising cases of cyber fraud and other crimes committed within the cyberspace. This conference in Abuja is organized by the Federal Ministry of Justice to deepen the understanding of the legal and regulatory framework of cyber and financial crimes in Nigeria.
It is now 2 years since the enactment of the Cybercrime Act 2015. Therefore, we need all hands on deck to ensure that the Act becomes both operationally and technically effective. I want to reiterate that this conference is an attempt by the Federal Ministry of Justice, in consultation with law enforcement practitioners, academics, and policymakers, to deepen the understanding of the legal and regulatory framework on cybercrime and financial fraud in Nigeria.
In their separate remarks, both the British High Commissioner to Nigeria and the United States Ambassador called for a skilled cyberspace. They link cyber and financial crimes to the reason why poverty thrives in Nigeria.
Any state that suffers from corruption and financial crime can be unable to fulfill its international obligations and can cause problems beyond its borders. A number of countries in West Africa fall into that category. It is the one main reason, in my view, why Nigeria has not so far delivered on its potential as a nation and still suffers from such terrible poverty and insecurity in so many areas.
There is not a country in the world that is kept secure day and night, year after year, by anything other than the people of that country. Every one of them. They are to national security what every user of a computer is to computer security.
Nigeria is the 5th country to fully sign a cyber legislature in 2015. 2 years after, participants in this conference argue that the law is yet to deliver on its objectives.
The fight for gender equality is not only an imperative of justice and fairness, but also an entitlement and debt owed to women. This is according to the acting president, Professor Chibok, who was speaking in Abuja, where he signed up as a champion of the He for She campaign. The He for She campaign, which was launched in the nation's capital today, is a global effort to engage the male gender in removing the social and cultural barriers that prevent women and girls from achieving their full potential. Several other dignitaries, including politicians, traditional rulers and federal lawmakers, enlisted to be part of the campaign.
Acting President Professor Chibok signing up the global campaign to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women, tagged He for She campaign. The Ministry of Women Affairs is partnering with the United Nations to drive the initiative in Nigeria. The plan is to enlist men and boys to partner with women in crafting and implementing shared vision for gender equality and empowerment of women.
The fight for gender equality is not one for women and girls alone. It's also a fight for all fair-minded and just men who believe that men and women must have equal rights.
Several male dignitaries also enlisted into the campaign as champions. They include leaders of political parties, state governors, members of the National Assembly, religious leaders and traditional rulers. There is also a category of those who enlisted as campaign influencers, including the chairman of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momo OON. The Minister of Women Affairs introduced Nigeria's action plan for the initiative, which she tagged 6x6x6.
In recognition of the size of Nigeria, a 6x6x6 initiative that will bring together 6 high-caliber men from six segments of our society, namely the executive, the judiciary, the legislature, the academia, the private sector, and the traditional/religious institutions.
The UN women representatives to Nigeria adds,
this is also a campaign for the next generation. We need to make sure the boys respect women. They respect women as their equal.
The campaign aims to engage at least 1 billion men and boys worldwide on the topic of gender equality and ultimately be in the forefront of the fight to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women.
The Adamawa State National Youth Service Orientation now has a new look and readiness for the core members who will be camping for their orientation. For over 4 years, the camp has hosted internally displaced persons from the Boko Haram insurgency. But the state government says the camp can now accommodate new core members for the 2017-2018 service year.
The situation a week ago. IDPs finding their way out of the NYSC camp after living here for 4 years. From the gate of this camp in Yola, Adamawa State, the look here shows that visitors are being expected. From the walkways to the buildings itself, repair work is ongoing, structures being renovated and paintings taking place. The Deputy Governor and his team take a walk around the facility. The NYSC says it appreciates government's intervention.
For 4 years, we have not used this place. Not only did he release the use of the camp, but he also renovated the camp. You must have seen work going on, plumbing work, repainting of structures, welding of broken beds, provision of electricity, and so many. So I want to say our mind is to express gratitude to His Excellency for making it possible for us to have our camp back. Despite a serious, it has not been easy.
About 2,200 core members are participating in the 2017 Batch 1 training exercise for the new core members in Adamawa State. And government is promising safety for all the core members who will be training on this renovated camp.
In part 2, after the break, Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee retains all key rate parameters after 2-day meeting. Do stay with us.